Oh, Jesus. Please don't be offended by my mockery of your big face. It's just, you know, sometimes when they say the face of the moon, I don't think they meant a size comparison. Oh, sorry. Right. Let's go with this. Okay. Hey, thank you, poets, as well. I have next done New York. I can't do a New York accent. All I can say is Moisey. Moisey, forget about it. That's literally my impression. Okay. Time to start taking some questions. Thank you, Logos, by the way. I've heard that all no, wait. To play Zen properly, do you need to use right-click all the time? Okay. Let's explain, let me actually explain why right-clicking sort of became this big thing and why people started using it more. So a while back, Zenyatta's right-clicks didn't actually... Hey, thank you. Oh, God.
I like me personally. Like I'm thick son.
Trash taste. Sorry. Right. So a while ago, Zenyatta actually did less damage overall with the right-click. So basically left-click did a certain DPS, and right-clicking by holding and firing was actually doing lower DPS. They changed it so that the right-click would do more damage, basically, a while ago, and would equalize the DPS. So that per roll, you get the same amount of damage out. That's why right-clicking started becoming more and more prevalent, because it was just better. And so what it means is that you are, like, charging up your DPS. So when you're around a corner and you just poke out and fire, you're still doing the same DPS, and if you're constantly outside of the corner, firing. Hopefully that makes sense. It's relatively simple mathematics. So, you know, if you're holding down left mouse button, like, let's just use a diagram, and you're doing a certain amount of DPS, I'll do it on a graph because I like graphs. People know I like graphs by now. You're doing a certain amount of DPS, and it's all like a linear DPS, right? You're a very fixed amount of DPS. If you're using right mouse button, oops, that's a B, or there's an R, M, B. Let's do that in blue. Thank you, hey!
For my flawless service.
Thank you, Jones. That is indeed an interruption. It was good, man. You're paying money to interrupt me, whatever. You're not actually doing DPS, but then you'll be doing, like, a shitload of DPS, and then you'll be doing, like, nothing, shitload of DPS, and it equalizes it, right? It's like a step DPS, but it equals the same line. So what it means is this is what much safer, because you're out of the line of fire and you're safe. You're okay. That's why people just use right click a lot, and you could just explode people as well. Like, this is very hard to dodge. This is much harder to dodge than this, because you have all this time to dodge this. This you don't have any time to dodge this. I mean, technically it's more like a slope, but it's very, very difficult to dodge. So yeah, like that hopefully explains why you use right click. It is a very, very useful tool. The best way to use it is just to learn how people move, how people, where people position, how they reposition. If you see someone repositioning and you know where they're going, and you just aim where they're going and time it right, it's the easiest kills of your life. Knowing how people sort of group together, and you just fire them at head height, try and get a kill. Use your Discord orbs to line up the shots. Lots of little tricks and tips to do that, but the biggest thing is experience by far. You've got to know where people are going. There's a beautiful shot done by Raucous onto Flower. Because I watched this video like a million times. Overwatch World Cup. USA versus South Korea. I don't want the highlights, I just want the Hanamura game. Or whatever. Give me the full match. For fuck's sake. Okay, I can't be asked to find it, but there's like a beautiful moment where they spot Flower going into position, and then Raucous just fires this blind shot where Flower's going to pop up and that Widow make a little nest on Hanamura, and he manages to almost kill him. And like, if he killed Flower at that moment, it would have changed the entire game, but he gets him down to like 14 hit points. It's insane. And that's just prediction, experience, knowing how people move, stuff like that. So that's why it's kind of important to learn that, and it's one of Zenyatta's most powerful things, is the ability to just delete people. So it's worth mastering, it's worth putting some time into. I've heard that the AWE speed is the same as Anadart's. Is that true? It might be. I don't know. I'm sure a trip to the wiki might teach you. I don't know. Sounds about right. Do you think Zenyatta has a soul like a human, or does he have something different? So, okay. First, it means, do you believe in a soul? I don't believe in a soul as a spiritual entity. I believe in a soul as an accumulation of people's consciousness, thoughts, being, their impact on other people, and that nature. You have a soul, you have a fundamental core to your being, and in that regard, an Omnic does have a soul. But do I believe that there is a transitory soul that will move on to an afterlife? No, I do not. So, therefore, I would extrapolate that I do not believe Omnics have souls, per se, although if you could manage to basically download an Omnic's brain, or what makes that Omnic an Omnic, and re-upload it into another body, you could say that that's a transference of the soul. So, yes, in a way, like, there is an accumulated being to an Omnic. That is what I think. It's a fucking video game about a British lady who can blink because of time shenanigans. Don't read too much into it, but that's what I think. That's one hell of a question to ask. Is it a good idea to use trance when the enemy team is ulting to save yourself even though the rest of your team doesn't need healing? Yes. The reason why... Okay. You have 6 things to kill. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and the one in the back here, this is a Zenyatta, right? I know I've done these colors in inverse, but whatever. This is the Zenyatta at the back. You're playing Genji, you dash through, and you focus the Zenyatta down. The reason why you're doing that is to get rid of the Transcendence. So if he doesn't Transcendence, and you kill him, and then you go and kill everyone else. So yes, if you're being focused down first, absolutely use it, because it stops him killing you, it stops him killing other people, and it just saves the team. Yes, 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 yes. What is the best way to build ults as Zenyatta? I feel like I don't get it as fast as Nano or Valkyrie. Damage. Damage, damage, damage. Shoot Discord orbed targets. Put it on a big tank and shoot the big tank. Or shoot someone's big face. Yeah, damage is usually the best way to get it up nice and fast. What tends to happen is other healers, like Mercy especially, will just like slurp up all the healing. So you'll have a very hard time getting much healing done. Putting it on Tracer as well is a good idea. But damage is the big way you try and do it. So just try and get more damage output. Again, be very careful. Use those right clicks, because you can like catch, like Reinhardt's tend to jump around corners, then put their barrier up. So you can usually like catch the Reinhardt in that time and stuff like that. Any changes you'd like to see for Zenyatta? Not really. I think he's in a good place. I think Zenyatta's actually very, very powerful. I know Boombox a while back considered him overpowered. Might still do, actually. He's very, very good. He's very high skilled. He's just very dependent on the team helping him out every now and then. Some of it is on you, but yeah. Queenie has warned you about that anti-StarCraft blasphemy. She has, actually, yeah. She seems to prefer Nova to Widow. No, wrong. Bzz, incorrect. Let me prove this to you once and for all, okay? Nova Widowmaker skin. Widowmaker Nova skin. These are dangerous things to be Googling. Especially on my PC. Right? This is Nova, dressed as Widowmaker, okay? You can see that... Like, she's got better boobs, sure, but like, the face is just a little bit off. She looks great as normal, but yeah, not quite as good. Then Widowmaker Nova skin. I'm sure it's just giving me the same Google results, so maybe it has it somewhere. There it is. This is Widowmaker dressed as Nova. Holy shit. I might be going bright red at the moment. No, I'm not good. I'm nice and pale. Yeah, she's a better looking lass. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And I prefer Nova. I prefer Widowmaker. I prefer a backstory. I prefer all that sort of stuff. I like tragic characters. I like villains. Nova has an interesting story behind it, but not quite for me. It's like Kerrigan 2.0. So there you go. The girl was all face. What is the default priority order for Zen? Healing orb, Discord orb, and damage? Yeah, pretty much yeah. Make sure your healing orb was doing work. Make sure your Discord orb is on a target, and then do some damage. There are exceptions. There are moments when you know, if you know that there is like a very limited window, for example, like a Winston jumping on you. Winston normally lands and puts down a bubble, so it's hard to Discord orb on him. So you want to just get that orb on him as quickly as you can, so you don't have to worry about it later. But very minor, very sort of specific exceptions to that. But in general, yeah. How many Discord orb priorities is Zen? Very big question. In general, like, I'll give very general Discord orb advice first, which is, like I said earlier, don't change target every 2 seconds. Make sure you're just taking your time with it, putting the Discord orb on a target, letting it sit there, calling out, hey, so-and-so's discorded, because it means that your DPS can react. I know when I first trained with the World Cup team, like last year, not this year's, last year's. I was just changing orbs every like 5 seconds because I didn't know any better. And they were like, no, just put it on something, call out what you've got it on, and we'll do the rest. And it's like, okay. And they're like, you know, if you see something better, then sure, do that, but don't, you know, stop changing it, basically. And ever since then, I've been very aware of, like, usually when I change the Discord orb, I have to kind of have a reason to change it. That this target is just higher priority, like it's a mercy, so we want to get that. Or it's, you know, no one can shoot this target, no one can hit that Reinhardt because he's just stood there with his barrier up, but this person's like over there and he can be shot, so let's put it on him. Stuff like that. They're relatively minor, but yeah. In terms of like priorities, it's support's very high priority. If you're like, it depends on your team lineup, it depends on your focus. Like if you're playing if you're playing with Roadhog and Reaper, Discord the tanks all day, every day, because they'll just kill the tanks instantaneously. If you're playing with Genji Tracer, Discord the backline. Think of Discord not in terms of like, you know, what is the be-all and end-all priority list. And like, I want to do a video about this as well, because I've noticed this with Moira. It's not so much about this is the absolute tier list for if you see Mercy, Discord orb the Mercy. Not at all how it works, especially after she gets nerfed. As it is now, maybe it is, but not good long-term thinking. Proper long-term thinking is, what is my team's objective? What do I Discord to achieve that objective? If your team's objective is to kill the supports as quickly as possible, then Discord the supports. If your team's objective is to kill the tanks, Discord the tank. If your team's objective is to punish their dive, Discord the Tracer, Discord the Genji. Like, think about what your team is trying to do and help them do it. Literally the definition of support. Literally what you're trying to do. And that to me is way more true. Harmony Orb is, like, again, it's just a matter of instinct. Some people, if they're dropping low, you want to top them off. In general, Tracers and Genjis will benefit most from your healing. Don't let anyone die, but in general, try and keep it on the Tracer or Genji as long as possible. What do you think of my golden balls? I love golden balls. You can see I have golden balls. I have beautiful shiny golden balls. Let's set this straight. Would a subpar PC affect your aim, like having sub 60 FPS and getting lag sometimes? Yes. Yes, it would. It makes your aim less smooth, basically. It matters more for tracking, like but it matters for everyone, like anything with high precision aim. So yes, having a better PC will benefit your aim. It's not a huge jump, and what I would say is this: having a smooth frame rate is more important than having a high one. So, like yesterday, I was bouncing very, very dramatically between like 70 and 40 FPS because Chrome was just like, all your RAM. So I was just bouncing constantly. And it was just driving me crazy. Like, suddenly I'd be turning and then suddenly it would go, doo, and then suddenly my aim would be thrown off. It was terrible. If I was on a constant 60, and I played for ages on constant 60, it's not the biggest deal in the world. But when you do start going to higher frame rates, you just get used to it, and you get used to how smooth and fluid it feels. And I'd say for me personally, like past 100, I don't really notice too much. But when it starts dropping under 100 frames, it really does start feeling like, oh, I don't want to play Widowmaker or Tracer or anything with like super high intensity aiming, because it's just not as fun. So yeah. Oh my god, that was terrible. Yeah. Not being able to speak in that accent makes it even better. Yeah. Yeah. If playing with a Lucio, which support ult should you use first, assuming no other ults from the enemy team are going to be used? I'd say Transcendence in general. The reason why you use Trance first is because it's instantaneous. So usually when you're staggering ultimates, so usually if you have like a big team fight, you want to stagger the ultimates. Like if you need both of them, you want to have one ultimate come out, and then when that ultimate's finishing, you have the second ultimate come out. So the issue with Lucio's ultimate is when he presses Q, he does this little hop and then has to touch the ground. And when he touches the ground, the ultimate comes out. And this takes about a second. Okay? 1 second. And during this time, like, back when Team UK were good in the playoffs, we could reliably kill Lucios in this time. We would actually count on the ability to do this. When we were diving Lucios that we knew had sound barrier, we'd just like dive him, kill him as he ults, because it's easy to do. You Dragon Blade dive and swing, and if anyone else does damage to him, he dies. It's insane. So we were getting good at just reliably doing this. Zenyatta, you can't do this. The instant he needs it out, he gets it out. There's no interrupting that. So Zenyatta ultimate is better to lead off of, and then during, like, as Zenyatta ult comes down, then you use Lucio ult inside the Zenyatta ult, because then you're safe. No one's going to kill you. So the ultimate goes out, and it's nice and easy. Simple. So yeah, that's sort of the general gist. What I would say though is that if you are engaging as a dive team, sound barrier might work better because as you like, it's harder for the Zenyatta just to keep pace, basically. How will the introduction of Moira affect Zenyatta? Will they be good with her? Are there other healers? Are they healers for completely different team comps? Very hard to say. This is sort of the topic I want to do the video on because I've noticed people have this habit of like, oh, who do I play Moira with? What is the optimal healer to play Moira with? And to me, that's the wrong question. It's what supports make my team comp work. So if you have a Deathball comp, you probably want Ana Moira, Mercy Moira. You don't really want Zen Moira. Zen Moira will work very nicely if you're playing a very aggro dive comp, in my mind. Like, if you want to really just dive onto the backline, you send in that purple orb, you dive with it, and you can even send Moira in with them, and then just fight, and just try and get in there, and try and play around with that, and see how that works. I don't think they have synergy, great synergy at least, but like, it could work, basically. It could work theoretically. I think that Moira might work better with, you know, in that instance, I might prefer... I'd actually stick with Zen Moira. You could argue for Lucio Moira for the speed boost, but not even necessary if you're running like Tracer, Genji, Winston. Moira is already pretty quick herself. It's just Zenyatta who's going to be left in the dust and probably just going to be left to die, to be honest. So yeah, it's tricky. You want somewhat balanced matches for you. Coaching, like 90% of my matches are one team completely wiping the other. Is there anything I can do when I'm on the losing side? Hope. Don't give up. Don't get like the biggest advice I'll give people is don't get disheartened when you're playing and the enemy team stomps you on the attack and then it's your turn to defend. Because the amount of times I've seen people where it's just like the attack goes amazingly and then the next attack goes amazingly and then the teams can't defend, basically. Sometimes people just go, oh, well, that was shit, I give up, I'm picking Hanzo. Wrong mentality. Completely wrong mentality. When that happens, you report them for bad teamwork and throwing, whatever. I usually take Zen when playing support to help deal with a Pharah. Now that Ana has a damage buff, is Zen and Ana better for dealing with a Pharah? Is Zen or Ana better at dealing with a Pharah? They both kind of achieve the same thing. I might say Ana might be better. Ana's not really going to be able to kill Pharah in terms of like, if it's a pharmacy, you still won't really be able to kill her, but you'll be able to help out with the DPS a little bit. The big thing that Ana will give you is a Nano Visor, and pharmacy sucks versus Nano Visor, so that makes it very difficult. Zenyatta can help out a lot with it though. Like, if they have a pharmacy, both are valid, basically. And as a support, you should be helping dealing with that threat. So if your victory condition is shut down the pharmacy, you have options to do that. It just depends on what you're more comfortable doing, what works better. You might want Ana because you want to use Nano Visors or Nano Blade or something like that. You might want to use Zenyatta because you want the Transcendence and you want these other things. There's a ton of things to consider, what you're better at and stuff like that. Got very deep very fast? Yes, it did. I don't know what we have literal souls. Reaper and Mercy interact with them. Ah, yes, but Michael Chu stated... these are just game contrivances, don't read into them. So don't overthink those. This answer was far more expected from a question. Damn straight. Should I get up and play Overwatch or just increase the size of my ass print in my bed? In general, just from my experience, I increase the size of my ass print in bed. But if you want to get better at Overwatch, you go and play Overwatch. So tell Bill to keep his mouth shut. A backstory, huh? Yep. We don't want to drag you into a dungeon to do any... Okay. This is exactly why I like her. Yeah, and I like the specific non-sexual things, but still, I'll take it. If you tanks will not push in and engage, should you try and hold back and try and convince them to engage, or go aggressive and try and force a play? You should probably just stick with the tanks, but as Zen, no, don't go aggressive. You don't want Zenyatta can't. You're like, yeah, I'm gonna get them. You're a little floating square. Like you will die instantaneously and not do anything. No, Zenyatta can't force a push. If you use trance, you can force a push. Whoops. If you use trance, you can force a push. So. What you're trying to do with trance is you basically, you know, your team stood here, you are here, this is you. Hi. For some reason you've developed a point. This is your team. This is a corner. You use trance, swing around in front of them, and basically create a zone for them to move through that it gives them the healing. That's what you're looking to do. But yeah, don't charge. Like the enemy team will go, thanks, and then kill you. Bad. When you use proactive trance, what do you think of proactive trance when your team's a counter and refuses to push? You usually just trance to shout, voice trap, push, 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 so they get off their lazy. Yeah, literally just what I said. If the team is just like dilly-dallying and just like staying in the choke for ages, then you can just use it and just go, let's go, let's go, let's go. In general, you want us to say like, let's push with trance, and then you just push with trance. Just make sure that you're doing it when no one's dead and like optimizing that, because it can go very, very badly. If the enemy team just backs off and you get nothing, that's really bad. So just make sure that you are. It helps to announce the push and then do it. But if you feel like you need to do it just to get the push rolling, it's fine sometimes. Especially when you're on the attack, like it just gives you initiative, and it just means that like. Trance plus Dragon Blade is very, very strong, for example. It's very difficult to beat that. So trying to combine it with another ultimate helps a lot as well. As an off-subject question, does setting your FPS get to 60 cause stuttering? I wouldn't be able to answer it. Yourself? Best Zen skin? I do like this one, but Zen has a lot of good skins. Like, I like the novelty of this one, but being honest... Like, Nutcracker is just terrifying. Like, that's horrifying. Sanzang is beautiful. Like, stupid, sexy Zenyatta. Cultist is nice, just for, like, the sheer novelty of it. Even his default skins. Like, Zenyatta has very good skins. Like, I'm actually a big fan of the Ifrit skin. And, this skin. Like, this looks really nice with the gold. But even, like, Skullyatta, I think looks really good. Like, even just this one looks fine. So, Zen is just, like, whatever takes your fancy, really. In ladder, is there merit to saving orbs for MVP players only? Yes, there is. If the Genji's carrying you, orb the Genji. Like, just basically don't just only orb the Genji, but just bump him up the priority list. You know, if you're picking between two people and you know the Genji's been carrying your fat ass throughout the entire game, put the orb on the Genji. It's your job to just, like, focus on, or figure out where you can have the most impact. That's part of your job of playing support, so you want to be trying to do that. Now, what time is it? Yeah, we're about running out of questions as well. If you've got more questions, now's still the time. Do you think any more characters should get the 6 meters per second run speed like Genji and Tracer? Not off the top of my head. No. Let me check. It's part of, like, it's part of their character. Maybe Reaper, of all things. Because Reaper needs the speed to close in. But then, like, your only defense against Reaper sometimes it's just backing away. Hey, thank you, Marenwen.
It was awesome meeting
that was you.
on early Saturday.
That was you. Yes, I remember.
We failed a handshake.
I'm sorry we didn't get a selfie, but yeah, it was an absolute pleasure to meet you. Yeah, thank you so much for dropping by and catching me there. It was great to see someone. Like, hey, hi. But yeah, it's an absolute pleasure. Hopefully we can bump into each other at another convention, or maybe next BlizzCon, who knows. Yeah, in terms of move speed gain, I don't think anyone really needs it. Maybe Doomfist as well. Like, he kind of needs the speed. But yeah, we'll see. Can you reliably track your performance as Zen by any stats? If not, how do you tell when you get better? When you start dying a lot less, when you start killing Tracers more, when you feel like you are in control of the situation a lot of times, is what I noticed. When I started playing Zenyatta, I had a very hard time, like, you feel constantly flustered. It's like there's a million things you need to do. When you start sort of getting into that tranquility, when you start getting into that point of like, okay, I'm going to orb this guy and heal him. I'm going to orb this. I need to make sure Discord's on this. And it's just very like plinking around basically. And then you know, okay, I have time now. I can do my right clicks. I can focus on doing DPS. I know the Tracer's probably coming for me, so I can put an orb over here and get ready for her and then charge and kill her. It's like, it becomes very calm and very serene almost. So yeah, it's like very that, and just like your aim in general, like, will just get better, and just practicing really. Could we replace Reaper's teleport with a temporary speed boost? What, basically give him fade? Like, giving Reaper fade would be ridiculous. Fade is broken as fuck. I'm relatively certain fade is going to get nerfed because it's on like a 6-second cooldown, and it's the best mobility ability in the game, except maybe dash. Like, fade is insane in how good it is. It gives you everything. So yeah. If I ever see you at a convention, I'd give a little tap to your ass so you can recall this moment and realize it's me. I wouldn't be able to go to a convention so it's safe. Technically, just piece of general advice. Technically, that's sexual harassment if you go up and touch my ass. I would avoid it in general. Just FYI. Just FYI. Any bad maps for Zen? Not really. Like, bad positioning for Zen is just anywhere where you're out in the open, but corners are your friend, hang around cover, stay relatively near the back of your team, all that kind of stuff. Just be very careful about traces. There's some maps where you want to be careful about traces more, some maps where you want to be more careful about Genjis. Like, high ground is good for you because it gets you away from tracer, stuff like that. So, not really bad maps for Zenyatta, but just bad positioning, I would say. Reaper used to have Sombra passive. What's Sombra's passive? Sombra has a passive? I'm sure I know what it is, but blanking. Reaper used to... I don't think Reaper used to have anything. Maybe he did when he was in development, but yeah. Can we change this into a Reaper discussion now? No. I'm going to finish up the episode now because it's been about half an hour taking questions, which is good enough for me. Right, thank you guys for watching all the way to the end. These low damage enemies through... Oh, yeah. I remember. Yes, that did not even make it into like pre-beta, I think. But yeah, I remember hearing dev talks about that because it's like the idea of, you know, the Reaper is coming for you and that kind of stuff. Right, if you do want to send footage in, this is how you do it. So to get it sent in, oamreviews@gmail.com. Include the hero name and the rank in the description. And then you can also include if you're a Twitch sub. Twitch subs have slightly higher priority. Today, the guy wasn't a Twitch sub, but you know, this video caught my eye for whatever reason, and we went with it. Just conclude, yeah, and that's all you need. Try and find a game that is relatively close, or a game that you don't understand why you won or why you lost. And yeah, that should be it. Otherwise, thank you guys for watching all the way to the end. I'm going to go do some placements, I think, on my main. So that should be interesting. So we're probably going to play some Zenyatta. And yeah, thank you guys for watching all the way to the end. I've been Josh, one voice amongst many. Doodles. Right, YouTube's gone. YouTube is gone.